where I grew up, my parents had moved down towards Cape Cod, and I was raised by a river in the woods, and that river was my medicine. I grew up in a house with way too many kids, and uh, everybody, but those woods and the river itself were just a healing place, but also, the nearest houses were a shipwright's house from 1685 and an arts and crafts shingle mansion up the hill and a little cape that was partly built in the burnt in the Pequot War, and all of these stone walls ran through the middle of woods. And as a little kid, I was like, why are there stone walls in the middle of woods? What is this well on our property? And what did that go to? And which house and what era? And why is there a wind turbine in the middle of the woods? And what's a pump house? And, all of these things that spoke of farms through the ages. And that really piqued my interest in how people had lived on the land and used the land. I found an old weeping mulberry tree over by the shipwright's house from the 17th century, and it just met the ground. And I was sure nobody had been under it in 100 years, and um, those places were my refuge. But also, I grew up knowing what a mulberry was and what a poet's narcissus was because they were growing all around it. And then the people in the arts and crafts shingle mansion were just great gardeners. And years later, I went back. At that point, I was working for the Massachusetts Horticultural Society as their director of horticulture. And I went up because they had first taken me to the flower shows in Boston when I was a kid. And I was there visiting for Christmas. And I said, I really have to thank you because you, above all people, nurtured me as a gardener. And they said, well, thank you very much. That's nice of you to say. But you were a curious kid and we just loved sharing gardens. And to me, I think that's the nice part about what all of us can do in this realm. And especially when studies are showing that kids know fewer than 10 animals and plants in their backyards, but they know hundreds and hundreds of corporate logos. It just takes any one of us saying, no, this is a bean seed. Just stick it in as deep as your knuckle and wait to see what happens. And that kind of mentorship is huge and easy and fulfilling. So for me, I'd say all of those things kind of came from different directions to form an interest. And then the plants just spoke to me, and that kind of took me the rest of the way.